Welcome, guys, to another episode of the Christian Buddies Show. It gives me great honor to introduce my guest, Cleveland. How are you feeling?
I'm great. How are you?
Not too bad. Thanks for joining me off an Instagram DM. It means a lot. And the actual title of today's podcast is I've actually forgotten the title. But it's all about holistic boxing. And because I've dug into your website, I've kind of done my research on you, and maybe the audience wants to know your background into boxing. How did you get started in that realm?
Well, back in 2009, I was going to therapy, and I needed some sort of athletic outlet. And my therapist suggested I try boxing, and that's how I got into it. I got in just because I was trying to, work through some of the things that I was going through emotionally, and through the sport of boxing, I emotionally regulated and started to feel better. So now I spend all day, every day, trying to share that experience with people that want to have the same experience.
That's awesome. And the title actually just came back to me: How to Stay Calm Under Pressure. And your website kind of goes into a bit of detail of this, because boxing's a funny sport in the sense that, someone's trying to hurt you, someone's trying to deliver pain to you. How do you stay calm in such a situation like that?
Well, I mean, nobody really stays 100% calm in those situations, but you get better at it over time. And for the most part, it comes down to just, trusting in your training, taking deep breaths, and, just being in the moment and not overthinking too much.
Yeah. So it's a lot of repetition. I'm guessing, you're spending the hours in the gym, you're hitting the bag, and it's all that muscle memory you're kind of training yourself into. And you speak of the champion's breath.
Yes.
As well.
Well, I mean, yeah, like I said, it's about controlling the breath, and the way that I train is specific. I created the system that, enhances the therapeutic side of, boxing beyond, just the endorphins. But yeah, champion's breath is a technique. It's a breath control technique. I say control your breath, control your fight, or control whatever's going on at that particular moment.
Yeah, right. And is it like breathing through? Is it like breathing through your nose, or like I know when you're gassed, you just want to take so much air in, and it's so important to really get that breath going.
Well, it's breathing through the nose and out the mouth. So it's faster breathing on the inhale coming in to kind of fuel, whatever movements that you're going to do over the next 5 to 7 seconds. So I say take about 3 seconds to fill your lungs nice and slow through the nose. And then exhale slowly throughout, out the mouth while you punch and move and all the other things. So it's a 10-second breath. You just want to be in control of your breath. If not, you can just kind of fall into whatever automatic response that, fight or flight or whatever that's, instinctual to you.
Yeah. Like, we'll just go into Netflix default mode. I don't know, like we'll go into some, whatever patterns are going through our head at the moment. And what about generating power? Because I know that breath is, like, when you generate power, breath is so important. That's why you hear all these boxers breathing like, ta, 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 like,
Yes. Yes, it has a lot to do with fluidity. And when you inhale, your skeleton expands and it makes you more rigid and less fluid. And so when you exhale and, move with power into it, you move with fluidity into motion, then you generate more power just through fluidity.
Yeah, right. Speaking of fluidity, I want to showcase your Instagram here. And this is just a bit of your training at the moment. So let me just see if I can get this full screen. All right, so this is like a day in the life of. Is this like a regular day, like just hitting the bags, the mitts?
Yep. That's every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
And whereabouts are you located?
Right now, I'm in Miami. Miami, Florida, United States.
Do any of you students try and bash you up?
No.
I mean,
they're not silly.
They're not.
They know better.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like when you start to fight, when you start to learn how to fight, it's like, hey, you want a piece of me? You know, you kind of become, you know, that tough guy. You know, can you speak into that? I mean, have you ever had to use your boxing on the street? I know it's not something that's good because you always want to kind of be safe, right? You don't want to. But has there been any occasions when you've had to use it?
No,
never.
No, I'm just, you know, most people that, you know, develop a skill of boxing and use it, and use it in competition against other boxers. We don't have, you know, I don't have any desire to get into a fist fight with someone that's, you know, on the street. I'd much rather get in the ring with another boxer and, you know, really test my skills, because somebody that's not training, it's not really worth it. And for the most part, I don't get in any trouble. I'm just always smiling and having a good time. So it's kind of hard to pick a fight with a guy that's just having a great time all the time. So
that's the thing. That's the thing, because it's like the stereotype is that people, you know, in the gym, they're really tough and really arrogant, and it's not true, you know, because you're a classic example. It's like, yeah, smiling and having fun and just enjoying yourself. And I think
go on.
Yeah, sorry, I was gonna say, I think that adds to your skill as well. If you're relaxed and you're loose and you're calm, there's more power. There's more, yeah.
Yeah, you're thinking at a higher level. So not only can you generate power, but you can pick where you want to go with the power. You know what I mean? Just practice. When you practice a sport, you know, it just becomes muscle memory.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah. And what about depression and anxiety? Because I feel like, you know, a lot of people, I feel like people are genuinely happy, but there are some people that are maybe a little bit depressed, a bit anxious. How can boxing be useful to this ailment?
Well, there's a bunch of different ways that, you know, boxing and general exercise can help people with depression and anxiety. But from the perspective that we coach from, it's, you know, it's the sports psychology part of of boxing. And, you know, a big part of sports performance is managing performance anxiety, which is basically saying controlling your emotions in a stressful time, right? Where you put more stress, you know, like I tell people all the time, ask people this question all the time, and a lot of times I don't get the right answer, but I ask, and maybe you're familiar with him, but Stephen Curry, you know, from the Golden State Warriors. I asked people, do you think he makes more shots in practice or in the game? And people say in the game, and I'll say, no, he makes more shots in practice. You know, people are better in practice than they are in competition because of the higher levels of stress.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the way it ends up benefiting you is learning to cope with higher levels of stress, what to do when you're feeling stressed out. That's what we teach you through the sport of boxing: controlling your breath, staying relaxed, staying fluid, picking your shots, all things that if you were to do, in everyday life, everyday conversations, everyday situations, the results would translate the same way. So why not make the connection between what we do in the gym and what happens in everyday life?
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? There's so many people that walk around like with tight asses, and when I say that, I mean they got so much anger built into them, and you can see it in their facial expressions. You can see it in the way that they walk. All they need to do is just hit some bags and just release that tension, release that mental pressure. And I used to see it when I used to work in the office. I used to work around people who are not very fit, not very healthy, not very motivated, and they have no outlet. They
Yeah.
have no physical outlet, and all this anger, all this stress, all this thing, it becomes inward. And yeah, it's you need something. So
Well, yeah, I mean, especially especially the need to, I mean, because aggression is kind of part of the human experience, and if we weren't aggressive as a species, then we wouldn't have done all the things that we have done, you know. But nowadays, there's not enough aggressive outlets that are, viewed as healthy, and so that's why boxing gyms are, so successful nowadays, because there are so many people that have been dealing with, trauma and anxiety, depression, stress, fear, all of that. And it just gives them a few moments to just kind of like just be angry and just hit something and just let it go in a healthy way.
yeah, for sure. And how did you start your gym? Because I saw pictures of your gym. It's like a pretty cool setup. You've got yeah.
I mean, I've been training people for a long time, and it just came to a point when the pandemic hit. It just came to a point where I wanted a studio of my own, because all the other gyms were closed and locked down, and there were some things that we were allowed to do, but most of the gyms just wanted to, from a social responsibility standpoint, they just wanted to stay closed. So I decided to open up my own little space, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love having my space. I love that, the business runs, and, I don't have to be there, and all the other things that come along with it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, dude. And what's your goal? Like, do you have any future visions for your business, or like where do you see yourself 20 years from now? I know it's a stupid interview question, but I thought, yeah, like.
Well, no, I mean, thank you for asking me my goal. I mean, my goal is to disrupt the fitness industry, and get people to be more trauma informed, and paying attention to the effects of trauma on people, and integrating practices into their companies to help support people that are dealing with trauma, because the fitness industry is just continually re-traumatizing people that are, suffering with like addiction and eating disorders and body dysmorphia and things like that. So my goal is to create a new standard in the fitness industry that digs deeper and helps people on a deeper level, not just on a, I'm doing this because I want a six pack, or I'm doing this because I want my arms to look a certain way. More so, I want them to focus more inward on, how they feel in their own skin, and how that you don't have to change the way you look in order to change the way you feel inside your skin, And so that's my goal.
Yeah, cool. And what are you eating? What's your diet these days?
I eat whatever I want. I eat whatever I eat what I like. And there are times where I'll just eat like a burger and pizza and fries, and then I'll say, okay, I'm eating all this junk food. Let me add something healthy in there to just kind of help balance everything out.
Yeah.
And that's the way I believe that, like restrictive diets, they just cause a lot more anxiety around food than what's necessary. And I think it's better to just look at it from a standpoint of, hey, eat the things that you like, but also throw some nutritious foods in there to help fuel your body and help you be healthy, you know?
Yeah. Have you ever got into intermittent fasting?
I've done some intermittent fasting, way back. it, I think I was just more experimenting with how it could benefit you mentally,
Yeah.
than more so than like what a lot of people fast because of the mental health benefits, but a lot of people also use it as like a weight loss intervention, and that's not really the way I used it. I don't really have any weight to lose, so it's more so about the mental health benefits that came from the
Yeah,
intermittent fasting.
for sure. And all right, that's cool. And yeah, because I'm gonna do an extended fast with my dad. I usually do a few fasts, a few long fasts throughout the year.
Hmm.
And yeah, there's a lot of research to show that doing these extended fasts, it resets your immune system. You can dig out some research on the yeah. There's quite an extensive amount of good research coming out from that. So yeah, I mean, if you can withstand the temptations of food, I think you can withstand the temptation of anything. So that's kind of like my. I mean, don't get me wrong. I had pizza last night, but yeah, I think extended fasts is definitely good for the mind, good for the body every now and again. So um, yeah, so.
Yeah, it's something that we've done for thousands and thousands of years too. So it's a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah, it's a lot of behind that.
Choose to respond, not react. Yeah.
That has to do with using your concentration versus using your instincts. Um, like instinctually, like we're genetically designed to have a fight or flight response and just either fight, flight, or freeze. Now, nowhere in there is there any kind of decision making, high level decision making. It's fight, flight, or freeze. And what we practice in the gym is how to stay in control of our emotions so that in those moments where um, our nervous system is activated, that we take a deep breath and get back in control and make the right appropriate responses and not just have reactions to what's happening in front of us. And as you could and we preach it inside the gym and outside the gym as a benefit to living a better life.
For sure. And it's funny because you talk about neuroplasticity, and I mean, if
Yes.
if I'm getting punched in the head a few times, I don't know how plastic my brain's going to be at that point. But I mean, like looking at the positive of that, if we're learning new skills, if we're applying ourselves in new different ways, we're creating all these different pathways in the brain.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for the most part, we don't most for the most part, none of my clients actually get hit in the head. So
Yeah.
we keep that to a minimum. That's why we do boxing training. You don't need to be a champion, to train like one. You don't need to be a fighter to get all the benefits, because that's where the benefits get shaky, and that's why boxing has the stigma around it that it does, is because the athletes over time sustain a lot of damage to the head and body. So
Yeah.
it's not necessarily good for you. But what we do is we bring the training aspect to everyday people, so you can get all the benefits, the neuroplasticity that you get from building new pathways and learning new things and practicing these different techniques, mental rehearsal, active concentration, all the things that we do inside the gym. So it's not about getting it in the head. Most people don't. And I don't recommend it. Sometimes people say, "Hey, can I start sparring?" And I ask them, like, for what purpose? Like, what's the point of you getting hit? There's no point. You're not going to get paid to box, so let's not do that.
Yeah. I used to I used to do a little bit of a Muay Thai, and I remember like boxing is like a bit of a component to that. And yeah, I remember hitting the pads, and Yeah, you have to at the start. You have to think a lot because you got so many combinations that it's like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. It's like all these combinations, but then eventually it turns into muscle memory. It's like you don't think
Mm-hmm.
anymore. Yeah, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
but it's quite overwhelming. You're getting a lot of patterns thrown at you, and you have to your body's trying to make sense of what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it's a mental load thing. And as you get better at the skill of boxing, your mental load will increase your capacity. So you'll be able to hear 7 or 8 punches with a defensive move and make the right combinations and make the right moves over time. No one's good at it in the beginning. It takes everyone time to get good at that. But once you get to a
yeah,
high level, then the cognitive load that you can manage becomes bigger, which also makes you, I think, helps you become a better person because you can manage more. Like there's more working memory. It's like having more RAM on a computer. It's the
yeah,
same thing for your emotional and mental well-being.
for sure. And look, I'm not a boxing expert. Maybe I can give you the spotlight on that. But why is Floyd Mayweather so good?
I think Floyd Mayweather is a result of bad parenting. I think so, if you look at their family, it's like hundreds of years of boxing, right? And
Yeah,
so whenever little baby Floyd Jr. had a problem, it was like throw him in the ring. And that's how they solved everything. And I think that's how he ended up being so great. He solved all of his problems in life through the sport of boxing, and that's why he's so good.
yeah, right. And there's a upcoming super fight, Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. Who do
Oh,
you have?
was that announced?
I saw some ramblings about it. I don't know if it's going. I don't know if it's going ahead.
Yeah,
But Tyson Fury confirms date for long-awaited fight against Anthony Joshua. So
nice.
that's about all my boxing knowledge. That's all I know is the headlines. I don't know the history and the ins and outs and who's better than this and all that. So,
Yeah,
but I'm excited for that fight. That should be a good fight. Um, do you have
I think so.
anyone that you want to win or
I mean, I am a fan of the sport, and I don't care who wins or loses. I just want to see a great fight. But
yeah,
I always have my predictions and my assumptions on what I've seen from each fighter, and where there's going to be problems for each of them, and where there's going to be opportunities for each of them.
yeah.
To potentially do harm to the other guy. But I think Tyson Fury is going to win the fight. I do.
Tyson Fury. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
dude. He's got a hard head. He's like, yeah, he's very difficult to knock down.
He's bigger than you and harder to hit than you and faster than you. Like that's just how it is. It's like he's gonna be bigger and stronger and faster than Anthony Joshua. There's not very much that Anthony Joshua is gonna be able to do besides knock him out with a good combination, but it's doubtful. He's not easy
It's
to hit. Yeah.
it's not easy to hit.
Yeah.
Nah, no worries, man. Well, how long have you been boxing for? So you've been boxing for quite some time now.
I started boxing in 2009, so around 12 years now I've been boxing.
What's the how? Okay, let me ask you a question. 12 years ago, what's been the biggest change from you from 12 years ago to the current time?
In myself or
In
in the
yourself,
sport?
yeah, in yourself.
Oh well, I mean, I'm just a lot older and wiser. Like I have made so many mistakes, you know, over the years, and I've learned from them. And I think that's the biggest thing is like I say mistakes, and what I really mean is I've had a lot of life lessons, a lot of
Yeah,
hard learned lessons inside the ring and outside the ring, in life and in relationships and in business. So I'm just far more prepared for, you know, what's coming at me now than when I was 19, you know, or 20, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No worries. Well, I might close the chat there. I mean, it's been good to kind of get your insight into boxing and just kind of just touch base with you. And how can people connect with you? What's the best way?
The
Is it
best way to get with me is on Instagram.
Instagram? All right.
Like you said before, DM me. That's the best way to talk to me, because if not, it doesn't exist. If it didn't happen on Instagram, it didn't happen. So
It didn't happen.
follow me at clevelandh.fitness. Send me a DM. I'd love to chat with you. I'm always open to chatting with people and seeing if there's anything I can do to help, you know, you grow and get better in your boxing and fitness life.
Slide into those DMs, or you can moonwalk into those DMs, whatever you feel like. But you know, this is what it's all about. So thanks for being on the show, and guys, don't forget to subscribe to my show as well. So it's been a pleasure being on hosting you on the show, Cleveland, and all the best with your boxing. Thank you.